hybrid kind of car, taken off with police in hot pursuit here. This is, again, heading into Houston city limits. So the driver being aided by the fact that there's not a jam pack of cars right now on the freeway, this being the Monday following July 4th weekend. That might overhead right now, passing by on a multi-lane freeway at high speeds, going far faster than any of the other cars around him. And we have yet to see how close the police officers are. Sometimes they leave a little lag room between the getaway. So far, we're not seeing any police cars right on the tail of this driver. In fact, I haven't seen police cars yet. Again, this is a high-speed chase we're following here on MSNBC in Houston, or at least heading into Houston at this moment. And police are chasing the driver, but we don't know why. We don't know whether the driver's a man or a woman at this point, but we do know that he's got a lead foot, going very fast here, taking this white minivan car. It's a white Dodge Caravan and is in the very far left-hand lane now. And look how empty that freeway is. Again, for Houston, Texas, surprises me when I've been there. These freeways heading into the city limits have been jam-packed, sometimes even in the middle of the day. And because there's not a lot of traffic, it gives this driver the leeway to weave in and around any cars that he encounters and to go really quickly. You know, we're going to take a quick break here, work on getting some information about why police are chasing this driver. When we find out, you'll find out too. Quick break here. We'll be right back. This is MSNBC. All right, breaking news that we're following right now, a high-speed car chase, and this is a fast chase that we're seeing, although it looks like police are not following this driver very closely. White Dodge Caravan on the run, took the chase to Sugar Land, Texas, which is southwest of Houston. Now it looks like they're on the Beltway 8 North, heading back toward the city limits of Houston. And you can see when this driver passes other vehicles, it is booking it. The driver seems to be maintaining his speed in one or two of the left lanes, and when he approaches a car, he has an easy time getting around it because there's not a lot of traffic here. And again, the police in this case not following all that closely. Look at that, right into the shoulder. That one didn't even go into a lane. He went onto the shoulder right there. It's the first erratic move I've seen this driver make since we started following the chase. KPRC is our NBC affiliate. They have their chopper out there, Sky 2, above the scene, following this chase as it heads up the Beltway 8 North. He's been on 59 now, Highway 59, if you're familiar with the Houston, Texas area. This is southwest of the city limits, heading now back toward the city. And again, a high-speed pursuit that we're following here on MSNBC. The police are chasing him through southwest Houston, right. And look at this. Now it looks like he's going through the toll lanes. Look at that, right through the, just barely missing the guy in front of him at that point, right through that toll booth. And now you're seeing a little bit of weaving going around as he's trying to get around the crowd of traffic coming out of that toll plaza. Again, this is a white Dodge Caravan that we're following, working to get information about why this particular driver's running. You can see with the tinted windshields, we're having trouble seeing inside. We don't know whether it's a man or a woman at the wheel. We do know they're going extremely fast, and you can tell that by the speed at which they're passing some of the other vehicles on this particular freeway. And you can see as well as he's swerving from lane to lane, getting around some of these cars, and we just saw him moments ago taking the shoulder. And again, the police in this case, we believe it's the Houston police who are chasing them. Not clear what started it, but it went into Sugar Land, Texas, southwest of the city, about 30 miles or so, and then kind of whipped around, and now it looks like he's back approaching the city limits here on Beltway 8 in Texas. And we'll have to keep a look on the signs here and see if we can see what direction he's heading now, but coming awfully close to that concrete barrier now, crossing that line that delineates the left-hand lane from the shoulder. And when he's coming into cars, it looks like if he's approaching other cars in front of him, willing to take that shoulder at a very high rate of speed rather than to slow down at all and get around these drivers. And so far, of course, we're showing you a close-up shot of this minivan, but so far we haven't seen the Houston police following that closely. We haven't seen the squad cars in this picture at all. seeing now how fast he's passing these semi-trucks and the other cars around him, and really not driving that erratically, except when he comes on the tail of another car, and then being willing to use the shoulder at this point. If you're just joining us, this is breaking news from Houston, Texas. KPRC covering with Sky Chopper 2 the high-speed chase that's happening. It's taken them around this area of Houston, Texas, in the metropolitan area. We're working to get some information about why the driver's running from police, why the police were on the tail anyway, and who, in fact, is behind the wheel of this vehicle. Be about 1:45 their Central Time in Texas. And taking a look at this white Dodge Caravan as it is on this multi-lane freeway there in Houston. And you can see that the car now taking up 2 of those left-hand lanes. The driver here just passing that semi-truck, big wide shot, and back down now to this Dodge Caravan, high rate of speed now. This is started on the Southwest Freeway and then looped around. The last report, this is on Beltway 8, northwest of Houston right now, being followed by NBC affiliate KPRC. And that white Dodge Caravan has been running for police for at least several minutes. It looks like it started at 2:30 Eastern Time, so about 17 minutes ago. Oh, no, 10 minutes past 2. All right, joining me now is KTAHR radio host KTRH. Okay, I want to get the call letters right. I don't want to mess up anybody's radio name. Will, are you with me?
I am. Thank you for having me.
Hey, what are you watching right now with this Dodge Caravan?
Well, right now, we're keeping an eye on it, and at this point, it appears to be, like you mentioned, in northwest Houston. He's on Beltway 8, which is kind of the outer loop around the city, and he's been on this for quite a while now. He actually hopped on in the southwest part of the metro and is now moving north on the west leg of that Beltway right now.
And I've mentioned to our viewers here, Will, that the freeways seem oddly empty of traffic.
In some spots it is true, in some spots in some spots it's not. Part of that, of course, has to do with the time of day. I mean, we're just approaching 2 in the afternoon, so obviously we're not in the middle of a rush hour. But also, too, there's been they're pretty good at alerting traffic ahead as to what is coming, and so in a lot of cases you'll see as they fly underneath an overpass, you'll see a lot of traffic sitting off to the side or that sort of thing, and that is all designed really to keep people away.
Okay, and do you know at this point, because we haven't seen any squad cars, are police still chasing the Dodge Caravan?
The shots that I have seen, and I see several different angles, yes. Normally they stay pretty far back in a case like this, but yes, they are still on him, and also they do have, of course, the police helicopter hovering overhead as well.
All right, and can you share with me, if you know, what are the guiding principles for Houston police about these high-speed chases?
Sure. Basically, and I don't have all the ins and outs of it, but from what I understand, basically the number one rule is to try to obviously minimize impact to civilians. In other words, so keep safety near the forefront, but at the same time, from what I understand...
This guy is booking it. Will, he is going so fast, he is just flying by all the other vehicles that are driving at normal highway speeds. I don't know how anybody watching this in law enforcement could think that this guy is safe just simply because of the speed that he's going. Well, now he's slowing down once again. It looks like... pulling off. He's pulling off right now, flipping a U-turn, going into, it looks like he's going into oncoming traffic at this point, going down a highway ramp, getting onto another lane. Look at this. We almost saw a bad accident right there. Other cars, sorry, Will, I'm just letting our viewers know, we're seeing this Dodge minivan now going onto a different roadway. He got off of the freeway, not on a regular off-ramp, but sort of went backwards and down and crossed into another road. And to tell you the truth, Will, the KPRC chopper pulled out on a wide shot. I didn't see any vehicles from law enforcement speeding behind him.
At this point, I do not. I'm away from a monitor, so I cannot see at this point as I'm on the phone with you.
Well, exactly. How am I doing on the play-by-play?
From what I understand, it sounds fine.
Okay, all right. Just to let you know, I don't have a background in like sports radio or anything, so.
Nicely done, then. Very good.
Okay, so Dodge Caravan is what we're watching right now. Will Sterrett's on the phone with me. He's with KTRH Radio. Tell me about this part of the city.
This part of the city, and
here he goes, up and over a curb. He's now getting around the lights of this traffic. He's in an intersection now, ignoring the lights entirely. And look at this. Now there's another SUV going behind him, keeping pace with this white Dodge Caravan. He's pulling into the. It could be that it's unmarked police right there. I don't know. It could just be that there's a passerby who's not at all happy about this guy coming out, jumping over the curb, and beating him through the intersection. And again, it looks now, Will, like he's on a local road. He's no longer on a freeway. It may be a multi-lane highway, but it's not like the freeway that we just saw here. And you said you thought it was in the northwestern part of the city.
Right. What you're seeing right now is he is on the feeder road. That's kind of the outer road that runs parallel to the Beltway.
Right, the frontage road.
Exactly. And so that is what, from what I understand, he is on right now.
Okay, again, we're watching this Dodge Caravan. He's taking police on a wild goose chase. We don't know what he's running, or she, because I don't know that it's a man. It could be a woman. Well, whoever's behind the wheel is taking police for this chase. It does now appear, I'm looking at KPRC's shot as they widen out, and now you're going to see it looks like there may be two vehicles, two squad cars, one on the major highway, one on that frontage road that are in pursuit now of this white Dodge Caravan as it moves forward. Will Sterrett's with KTRH Radio with me on the phone. Here's what I'm getting, Will. The public information officer at Houston PD says, okay, confirms it's a white Dodge Caravan. That's good to know. Started at Bel Air and Willcrest, began as a routine traffic stop, except that the car never stopped. Tell me about Bel Air and Willcrest. Do you know that area?
I know that area a little bit. It's not, it's not an area that I'm in a lot, but it is, it is an area that is kind of in the southwest area, southwest area of town, and at that area. From there, he, from what I understand, hopped on 59, went out to the southwest suburbs, turned all the way around, came back up, and then got on the Beltway, and that's where he's been now for the past, several minutes.
Yeah, and by the way, now he's back on that major freeway that we were talking about. I believe it is the Beltway 8. He got off of that feeder road, as you called it, and is now back on that major highway again, and again, just flying by the other vehicles. We've seen him from time to time, going from the left-hand lane, swerving onto the shoulder, and boy, he went through that toll ramp to the toll booth at a pretty good clip and nearly rear-ended the car in front of him. All right, Dodge Caravan right now, look at him slowing down. He's hitting some traffic, and now it looks like he's taking a bit of an off-ramp and getting trapped behind some of these other vehicles, getting off the off-ramp. He's trapped now by this other SUV, this black SUV, and looks like he's trying to take the shoulder there to get around him and squeezing in between the SUV and the white pickup truck, moving forward, and again, still going at a very good clip. And there's the Houston PD right on the tail. Again, they're, it's interesting, Will. I'm not seeing their lights on, or it doesn't look like they have their lights on while they're chasing this guy.
I've not gotten a chance to see the lights. I know in some cases they have been on. In other chases, sadly, chases do happen here with a certain degree of frequency. But in this case, I've not noticed that myself. So
and a big loop around now, just squeezing behind the two other vehicles that he just did, and now he's heading in the opposite direction from how he just came. And again, Will, it looks like he's on another frontage road, another feeder road here.
Yeah, the feeder roads basically run parallel to that to the Beltway pretty much the entire way around, and the same thing can be said for one of the inner loops here. We have a tremendous amount of those frontage or feeder roads here, so people, even in the course of their average day, are hopping on and off those constantly. It's no surprise that this person who's obviously trying to evade police is doing the same thing.
Yeah, and again, and here he is now, obviously about to make a move now because he's hitting the intersection again. And look at that big left-hand turn in front of those stop traffic. He's flipping around, now going in the opposite direction, pulling into this driveway of a vehicle, of a business here. It looks like a big office tower, and we're going to let the chopper sort of maneuver around. Don't you hate it when this happens? I want to see what happens. Okay, and pulling out the other, there's the police squad car and the minivan. Now you can see the squad has him somewhat boxed in. There's one on the left and one on the right, and he's turning into another driveway right by this office building, which somewhat impedes our shot. And we'll be watching for, there he comes out around the other side again. Now he's just doing a ring around the rosy for this office building. You can see now there are several police nearby. I mean, there are police in this area. It looks like they're trying to figure out a way to box this driver in. Certainly it's a guy that they want to get off the roads now because they know, A, he's willing to run, B, he's willing to go extremely fast, and C, he's willing to drive on the shoulder and to go through intersections without waiting for the lights. So this is a driver who is definitely putting other drivers at risk. Will, remind me again, what's the protocol here for high-speed chases?
The protocol here is very touchy, but in cases such as these, they want to obviously minimize impact to others, but they're very hesitant here to use pit maneuvers and things of that sort in an attempt to stop vehicles.
Yeah, it doesn't look like at this point that we've seen any stop strips or anything like that sometimes other law enforcement officers get ready to use. Okay, now watch this as the chopper gets in scene, and now we're seeing him flip around again, another Yui that we're seeing. He's really trying to avoid the moment you know is coming. This chase is going to end at some point, and this driver's just willing to do what it takes to keep this ongoing. Do you see that there was another police officer there waiting in the turnaround area? Now he's getting back on it looks like this is the opposite direction, and what we see him doing on the sidewalk now, going around this traffic. Very dangerous, and around a tree. And again, now coming off of the sidewalk, going onto one of these side streets again. It looks like, Will, that this is an area where there are a lot of one-way streets because traffic, there's several lanes, and it looks like traffic is heading one direction. Now we're seeing him on, this is a side street here, several lanes, 4 lanes or so of a side street. Can't tell whether that's a shoulder or a lane. The lines aren't painted so brightly. But a Dodge Caravan, at any rate, that was on the freeway, now on side streets, doing loop-de-loops around office buildings, going on a sidewalk, skipping through these intersections. Will, have you learned anything about why they tried to pull him over?
Yeah, the reason why they initially tried to pull him over was he was a suspect wanted for burglarizing a vehicle, and that is really where the whole thing began. And the other thing to keep in mind, too, is we're coming up on 45 minutes of this, and over that period of time, it's a Dodge Caravan. It's not known for its gas mileage. We don't know how much gas was in the tank, but obviously at this point you start thinking about that sort of thing.
Yeah, we just saw another U-turn here. So basically what he's doing, he's staying on these side streets and sort of just doing loop-de-loops. He's going for a little while, flipping a Yui, and then going back, driving for a little while, flipping a Yui, and in some cases, when he hits an intersection, there he goes again. Look at that, and again, almost hit that pickup truck doing so. When he hits an intersection, not afraid to climb up over the sidewalk. Many times, Will, when we're following these high-speed chases, what we notice is erratic behavior on the part of drivers. We see more and more erratic maneuvers.
Yeah, that is something that you do see a lot of every time. And in fact, just last week, there was a chase up the road in Dallas where someone who was trying to get away from police plowed right into an intersection, got hit by a pickup truck, and it literally bent the car in half. And so, that's one of those things that obviously somebody isn't thinking about.
Watch as he tries to get around these cars. This is the moment when he starts driving, or she starts driving erratically. Tamron Hall joins me now, lived in Texas for a long time. Look, you're looking at this guy, and we were just saying, when they continue with this high-speed chase, they make crazy moves.
It's insanity. It's insane behavior. You're running from the police. You will get caught eventually, and it looks like he's going. The officer has his gun drawn. He's close to being blocked in. You don't see that every day. An officer on foot running up to an irrational person, as you mentioned, Contessa, with his gun out and drawn there, but how do you rationalize this kind of behavior, putting lives in danger? As the reporter just mentioned, we saw this Contessa about this time last week in Dallas. The guy ended up in critical condition after running from police for an hour.
And this makes no sense. All he's doing is driving a little bit, flipping a U-turn, coming around, flipping another U-turn. His thought process at this point is not logical. In fact, let's face it, it's not rational to run from police.
You're running from the police.
Look at that. They tried the spike strip right there. It didn't work.
And this, again, is KPRC. We're following this breaking news. Another high-speed chase out of Texas. It was around this time last week we saw one end with the driver who was trying to run away from authorities in critical condition. And now, as Contessa has been following, this guy has been making U-turns around the median. It's almost, if it weren't so dangerous, Keystone Cop-ish, as he is going around and around this median. But again, these are lives, innocent people who are on the roads. These are officers who are putting their lives in danger. One on foot just a short time ago trying to run up to the side of this white Dodge Caravan to apprehend this individual. Contessa, you were talking with the reporter.
Look at the intersection right here. I mean, he's going through these intersections without even really looking. We've seen several close calls, one at the toll booth, once when he was trying to squeeze through two vehicles that were somewhat blocking his path.
The reporter who was on the scene you were talking to a second ago, Contessa, he said he was a robbery suspect. What was the deal?
Will Sterrett, who's with KTRH Radio right now. Will, explain why police were pulling him over in the first place.
Sure. It's believed the suspect is wanted for burglarizing a vehicle, and that is what led to the chase, just under an hour ago kicking off, and obviously covered a great deal of territory since then. But yes, being wanted for burglarizing a vehicle is really what starts the whole thing.
And you point out, Will, earlier I heard you say, that, again, this is Tamron Hall joining Contessa, that how much gas mileage is this guy getting? He's in a Dodge Caravan. I imagine when he started today, he didn't fill up thinking he was going on the sidewalk there.
Another car. The spike strips
There's a fire truck there. Maybe they can. Well, I thought for a second they might be able to pin him in there, but the traffic does not start the high. I mean, and like Dallas, Houston has awful traffic. He seems to be obviously avoiding the freeways and highways, and and the officers are going to try to get him. Again, our producer's telling me we've got this. Where there's a delay to prevent you from seeing this.
Look at this police officer on foot. Now, in the middle of the rain, they are so desperate to get this guy off the street.
Well, that's the only way you can put the strips down. I mean, you can't. You have to put them down, and if their lives in danger.
On the line.
It's pathetic when people feel that it's necessary to run from officers, putting those officers' lives in danger. And it was chilling a short time ago. If you're just joining us, we saw one officer on foot running up to this vehicle with his gun drawn, obviously not wanting to open fire on the individual, but not wanting to put his own life in danger either.
And by the way, the other drivers that are on these on these roads don't realize that there's a vehicle coming up on their tails. They don't realize that their lives are at risk at the very moment because somebody is acting so erratically, running from police, making crazy maneuvers in the middle of intersections and through toll booths, and just not pulling over. Now it looks like we're in an industrial area of Houston. Will, this has been a high-speed chase that has taken us outside the city limits. How far did it go?
It went pretty far down. It left Harris County. Houston sits in Harris County, and he went into Fort Bend County, which is to the southwest of here. And that's where a good number of suburbs are, and even some of the farther out suburbs. From what I understand, he made it down, as far as, from what I understand, very close to Richmond.
Which is far distance. I mean, people don't, obviously, you know how big our great state of Texas is, Will, but you can go on a pretty long time. We just saw the officers get a bit more aggressive. They tried to bump this guy from the side. They're fed up with this. They want this to end, and they want it to end without any loss of life. Will, hang on for a second. I want to bring in my colleague for our 2-hour show, David Schuster, who, of course, is in Washington, D.C. live. David, obviously, this is not how we plan to start off our Monday. We got a lot of political coverage, but yet again, we're taking over from Contessa with one of her high-speed chases that we're following.
We wanted a good Texas story for you, Tamron, to celebrate your return from your home state here on this Monday.
Look at that.
Another strip.
They're trying these strips, and he just manages to maneuver around them each time because they're trying to guess. They're trying to guess where he's going to go.
Yeah, and they don't want to get in the line of fire. But David, it's interesting. I was in Texas this weekend. It's 105 degrees. A little too hot for all of this nonsense, so hopefully he'll get caught.
Look at this. But police officers, spike strip and gun.
These officers are really You know, this is a van that they are trying to jump in front of.
That was not such a great effort with the spike strip.
Yeah.
It just didn't seem that effective. I want to ask Will, though. Will, I mean, based on the scanner traffic, do you know what neighborhood this is that he's roaming around in now? I mean, I think I've counted 9 U-turns in the last 5 minutes. Do we know where he is?
Sure. Yeah, at this point, I can check for you real quick. But you know, off the top of my head, if you gave me 10 seconds, I'd have it for you.
You can have 10 seconds.
Okay,
it's fine.
Give me 10 seconds. I'll be right back.
Well, you know, and again, to update our audience, what you're looking at here is some breaking news that started about an hour ago, 1 o'clock local time in Houston, Texas, where police have started to chase a man suspected of vehicle burglary or burglary suspect, and he's led them on this chase for more than an hour, 45 minutes plus, in his white Dodge. I say he, we don't know that it is a he. I shouldn't say that. That could come off wrong. But the driver usually is a he.
Usually.
But we'll be wrong this time. We'll be wrong this time. But they pursued this guy, throwing out strips, trying to blow out his tires. One officer running up to the vehicle with a gun drawn. That did not keep this person from continuing to run and flee. Contestants noted he's gone U-turn after U-turn. We're not even sure how far he's gotten. He's made so many U-turns through this community. And David Schuster is with us live in Washington, D.C. following this.
Yeah, and you know, Tim, we were talking about the high-speed chase in Dallas last week. I think this person has survived a little bit longer in a residential neighborhood than that one did a week ago. Usually when they get off the highway, that's the end. But in any case, Will, let's get back to you. What neighborhood is this that we're looking at?
This is Greens Point. This is an area that is right around the upper part of the Beltway. It's on the north segment of the Beltway, right around Interstate 45 in that area. And so you're talking about the convergence of 2 very big arteries of traffic in the city.
And right now it looks like some of his luck in terms of traffic has continued, but again, he's driving right by these squad cars that have parked strategically, and yet he approaches these intersections, sort of goes around the block or flips a U-turn and still manages to avoid these squad cars. And see, there he goes again, now into a parking lot. This is a move that we've seen before. We saw him just 5 or 10 minutes ago going around and around an office building. Oh, look at that.
Well, the thing is, and where these officers are showing strong presence, many times the hope is he's blocked in, but he got through there, is that the person will have a brief moment of rational thinking and realize that this cannot go on, albeit even if their car runs out of gas or they are eventually blocked in.
Do you ever notice, though, how rarely it is that we see these chases end with a rational moment of just pulling over or coming out with your hands up? No. It so rarely happens that way.
We saw the worst case of it, well, not the absolute worst case, but a pretty bad ending to one this time last week, where the driver was hit by a man who was just going through the intersection unaware of what was going on, and that driver, David, that we followed, ended up in critical condition here.
Yeah, I mean, this, you got to believe that, I mean, this is going to end in a similar fashion at some point, unless he finally or she just gives up. And again, Tamara, I love the line you had last week about, you know, exactly how fast can a 99 Nissan go. Well, I think your logic probably applies to a white minivan. I mean, exactly how far and how fast can a minivan go? We've seen him go pretty fast.
David, he doesn't seem that he's going all that fast. He's just maneuvering through. I mean, we saw, and we have seen contestants, people, they're blazing. It's almost as if the vehicle's been souped up to run from authorities, and this guy's really not going that fast.
You know, before he got onto these side streets, though, we saw him on that Belt Parkway and the Beltway 8 North, and he was flying. I mean, he was just cruising by these other cars.
Oh, goodness.
And now you see, again, another U-turn with police in very close pursuit, and look at, they were ready right there to trap him, and it looks like they're just not coordinated.
They're not taking the most aggressive measures, at least it seems, because obviously that officer knew he was coming down. They could have rammed the car from the side. Now you've got, are those regular citizens coming out on the side there?
Yeah, look, there's still traffic. Like, why they don't have this blocked off?
David,
because he's just going around and around.
If this could not be dangerous, this is like Keystone Cops if it weren't something that could turn deadly. You know, this is...
Yeah, and I mean,
it's not,
look, I guess I'm still a little confused as to why. I mean, the police do seem to have him pinned every now and then they sort of let him by. And, Will, I wonder if there's been anybody who's spotted him with a gun, or any reason why police seem to sort of hold back a little bit at certain instances?
Well, these sorts of things are relatively routine when it comes to Houston police chase. Over the years, there's been a lot of criticism of the chase policy for not being more aggressive when it comes to trying to get these things stopped. And so in a lot of cases, officers do tend to pull back from these things because they don't have clearance from the folks, up the chain to take more drastic measures.
He's now in a parking garage. Okay, if he's in this garage, usually there's one way in, one way out kind of thing. I don't know. Do you know what building this is near, Will?
Yeah, I do not. I'm not familiar with that.
It's interesting because the other part that we often see in these chases is that people give up their vehicles and they run on foot. When there's choppers overhead, you can see where they're running. If they run into a backyard, they run into somebody's house, you can see them. In this case, not only can we not see what's happening, but the police chopper can't see it either.
Which makes this a very intimidating situation for those officers who are following this driver. We don't know if the driver has a gun, and now they are in a building where the eye of the helicopter, as you mentioned, you can't see them. And this can be very scary, particularly if this guy tries to get out, if he or she is armed, and then tries to go out in some kind of blaze of glory in this parking garage. This is a very scary situation.
And if that's a hotel or if that is an office building, you have a potential situation where someone who is desperate and behaving crazy runs in. And who knows what happens at that point.
And you can ditch that vehicle in there and also hide. I mean, this is like something out of a bad movie in a situation where we see this building, but none of us can tell the audience what's happening in there, and you hope that it is certainly not something that will cost any of those officers out there their lives. So now they're in this parking garage. Will, if you can help us when you get an opportunity, if you find out where this location is, to give us a better picture. Across the street, David and Contessa, there's some apartment complex, and those are the people I think we saw. They're probably watching this on the news and ran out and looking at this guy, a woman, try to run away from the authorities.
KPRC's on the scene right now. They've got their chopper in the air. They've been following this situation. You can see that there are a slew of police squad cars outside now this parking garage. However, the chase, it would appear, has either continued inside the parking garage with as many loop-de-loops as we've seen. It's entirely possible, or it's entirely possible the driver has ditched the vehicle and police are going to have to pursue on foot.
Well, we're being told by our producer this may be a part of the Wyndham Hotel, Greens Point, some kind of club, a private athletic club next to the hotel itself. Now you see the entrances, David, they've got them covered, so it would be a matter of perhaps what we've seen in the past, this driver trying to ditch the vehicle and take it out on foot, hoping that he would not be recognized. But now, if he's in that garage, they've got a flatbed truck there, not going to get past that. He may have gotten past those officers in the cruisers, not going to get past the flatbed truck. And these entrances are being sealed off right now, David. Oh, they're running in. They're running in.
Yeah, okay, so this is the Greens Point Club, according to KPRC, the NBC affiliate that's on this story right now, which is a private athletic club. Will, what do you know about the Greens Point Club? Anything? Will Sterrett, do I have you with me?
Oh, yes, I'm sorry. I was getting an update in my ear at that point.
Okay, what are you getting?
What I've gotten is at this point it is it is next to the Greens Point Mall, which is a rather from the name, it's a shopping destination there on the north side, one that's frequently very busy, especially at this time of day. And you're also very close to the freeway. Obviously, when you're in the parking garage, it's not something where you have the concerns of somebody doing something on the freeway. But like you've mentioned over the past several minutes, a parking garage poses its own completely different set of circumstances and dangers.
Right. And that is the I don't like using the word scary, because these officers are trained to handle things that we see as scary, but they are trained to face them without fear. But this is intimidating, certainly, to go in this garage. It's a multi-level garage with an individual that you don't know is armed or not, or what. Now they're on the roof. We see this has got to be the guy. No one else is running, looking back on top of a roof deck, and now he's not.
No.
Does he?
No,
Okay.
no. We have this on a delay, so we're going to...
Yeah, this is on a delay. He's looking out. He's trying to scope out what, if any, escape routes. He's obviously, if this is the gentleman in question that is running from the, I should say the suspect, not the gentleman, the suspect, he's trying to scale over the side. There's an officer pursuing him. He's got a backpack. We don't know what's in that backpack. You saw that strapped bag across his body. Even when he ditched his vehicle, he obviously thought enough to take that with him.
All right, and we know now that that he's on the ground. He's on. All right, he's on the ground. Yes. He's on the ground. We do know it's okay to show it.
He's on the ground. You got him. They've got their guy here.
There goes the handcuffs.
So he did what we suspected, ditched that vehicle inside the parking garage. They've been able to take that bag, that satchel, David, that he had hanging across his body. They've been able to get that from him. He's on his face down, and we'll learn more details.
I just wonder if he hurt himself too, if he must have broken his leg or anything. That's a pretty steep distance from that to jump down there. So I sort of wonder.
If he hurt himself, he's lucky. That's the least of what happened to him. He could have ended up in a deadly accident and killed people while trying to run for over an hour from authorities. But it is and they've got the dogs on him as well in there.
Oh, and that dog is going crazy too. Again, this was a man that police had been reportedly trying to pull over because he was suspected in a vehicle burglary. They said they were trying to stop him. He never stopped. So the chase began. It took them some 30 miles away or so to Sugarland, Texas.
Sugarland.
Yeah. Up to now this area of Greens Point, a private club around the mall, up on top, parking structure. There it goes.
Well, there you have it. I think we're going to become the high-speed chase team. David Tamron and Contessa. That is a very scary thought. Hopefully we can get back to